My name is Shauna, and this is my 180 story. It's my personal story about how I was headed one direction in my life, and then Jesus changed that direction by 180 degrees. Everyone is searching for happiness or satisfaction in something, and I'm no different. In high school, I looked for these things in my grades and in my friends. I longed for a group of people who would truly know me and fully accept me, but I never really found that, so I mostly faked who I was around people. My grades, on the other hand, were a huge source of pride and self-worth, as I had always gotten straight A's. I grew up going to church, but I never really knew what that meant. And high school was a roller coaster where God was concerned. At one point, I came to the conclusion that maybe God didn't even exist. And coincidentally, this was a time in my life where I was the most unhappy, and I was the most consumed with school and maintaining my grades, and I turned to drugs and alcohol the most to have fun. The summer before my senior year of high school, my life got hard. My dog died, my parents were constantly fighting, my mom got arrested, I was in a draining relationship, and I got in my first car accident, and none of the people that I was hanging around with really cared. Many people, when they face hard times, they're driven away from God. They think, if there really was a God, then this wouldn't be happening to me right now. And at this point in my life, I had never really tried out faith, and nothing was really getting better or had a purpose. So I realized that maybe with everything that had happened, I needed the Lord more than ever. And so I trusted that the things that were happening to me were happening for a reason. When I came to college, something was telling me to grow closer to Jesus. So I heard about Cru from a friend, and I decided to check it out. I was super amazed by how genuinely open and accepting everyone was, and it was super easy to get acclimated to Cru. And this encouraged me to come back. In Cru, we were always opening and reading the Bible, and this was the first place that I had ever really done that. But the more that I read the Bible, the more that I learned about Jesus, and the more my affection grew for him. One night at the weekly meeting, I remember the speaker talking about how Jesus is enough for us, and we don't need to do anything to add to the work that he's already done. He used the phrase, Jesus plus nothing equals everything. And that was a huge turning point for me. It made me realize that I don't have to be a perfect human, and that life isn't about living in order to get into heaven or doing good deeds in order to get into heaven. It's about trusting and believing in Jesus. I've made the decision to accept Christ as my Lord and Savior, and I now understand that Jesus died on the cross for me. And through his death and resurrection, all of my sins, past, present, and future, have been forgiven. The Lord has been at work in my life in so many ways since coming to know him. Whereas before I was always faking who I was around people, I now have the confidence to truly be myself, and he's put me in a community of people where I can truly be myself. For the first time in my life, I don't have the perfect grades, and the old me would have really beaten myself up over this. But I have way more peace now with not being perfect. Jesus is the perfect one, not me. Since coming to Jesus, I have been so filled with love that I can't help but share the gospel with many of my friends, and this is something I never would have seen myself doing. But before Jesus, I was faring well enough, but now I'm fulfilled. My name is Shauna, and this has been my 180 story.